Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Ivy League, a Chicago Cubs podcast. I am one-third of your host, but one half today, Marco Santana. Ethan Davis is with me from Illinois as well. Our third person, he has the burden of being an accountant during tax season. So,
Poor guy.
we'll give him a hall pass, right, Ethan?
Yeah, he's earned it.
Yeah, for sure. He's earning it right now for sure. We have a lot to talk about today. We have had a couple weeks off because Ethan, Mr. Birthday Boy, we had a little party for him, or he had some partying to do. So, but we're back now with real baseball to talk about, right?
Yeah, and the start of the baseball season has exceeded my expectations so far.
What the hell's happening?
We can hit with runners in scoring position. What the hell is this?
And I'll tell you, it's very, very small sample, of course. But Jesus Christ, I think like they have an off day today. I still think they credit like 2 stolen bases or something like that because they are just stealing bases left and right, and it's all up and down the lineup. It's like we have some guys who have speed, and then at least half of the rest of the lineup is just smart base running, right? And I think that's the good combination.
And I think Craig Counsell, Quentin Berry, and I forget the first base coach's name off the top of my head now, but they're being really aggressive on the base, and it's paying off so far. And John Birdie, that's some insane base running because PCA is more just the speed. But Birdie's got the speed and the just overall intelligence on the basis. He got all the way to third of that game the other day. Oh my god!
He stole that run.
Yeah,
and that put us on the board. So. But those are all good developments, as we, trudge through 162 games. I mean, finding those, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, just finding those kind of diamonds or the little, like, what game is Birdie going to win us? What game is Workman going to win us? What game is obviously the Stars going to win us, right? But you have to do that in a long, I mean, it's a long season. It's early, but it's a long season, and what are your thoughts so far? I know we have a little bit of a planned discussion, but what are your thoughts so far just how Counsell is moving those guys in and out, making sure they're fresh? It's sometimes tough with Workman because you're also trying to get Shaw real timing. What are your thoughts so far how he's been doing?
I think Craig Counsell's been doing fine. Obviously, the bullpen.
Yeah.
I can't even say he's mismanaging the bullpen because our bullpen arms, it's so new in the season, and we're not the only team having bullpen issues.
Right.
It's across the board. But we'll see. May or June, I'll give an accurate opinion on Counsell's bullpen management. But for now, I'm liking how they're keeping everybody fresh and they look healthy when they're running the bases.
Yeah, man, it's not easy. I mean, I think Gage missed a whole week or something that without getting on the field, and it was like
you can't take Matt Shaw out. I don't think.
Exactly, I agree.
Everybody's talking on I think it was Bernstein and Holmes this morning on the score. They talked about how Matt Shaw has been batting under 200, but he's been walking and he's been giving for the most part quality plate appearances. So if he's getting on base, we've proven thus far that he can steal a base too, and we have the lineup that can hit him in.
And I think if he lasts the year, which I do think he will, they're gonna find a way to shorten that swing. It's a good swing. It's been good for him so far, but I do feel like the hitting coaches are they're probably working with him already about how to not disrupt who he is, but also this is real Major League fastball speed you have to catch up to.
Yeah, and Miguel Amaya had a similar thing with the leg kick, and look how good he's been since he got rid of it. And I also think Matt Shaw's defense has definitely been there. So whether it's Workman or Shaw, the defense has been good.
Yeah,
which is more than we can say than last year.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. You just want to. You don't want to stand out. You don't have to make the great plays. Just don't mess up the easy plays. I think that's what he's been doing for the most part. We're going to get into. I used to be a reporter covering meetings, so the agenda. And one of the things that it's not all great so far because we heard the other day, Justin Steele on the IL for 15 days. I'm assuming retroactive. to the day after either that he pitched or after he pitched. But you know, I promise not to make this a habit, but like again, no need to panic this early in the season. Um, but you know, it's a big arm that we lost. Now we need someone to step up, right?
Yeah, I think it sounded like just from hearing Justin Steele's interviews where he was talking about how it wasn't like he thought he'd have to be on the IL. He was going to work
Yeah.
through it, and I think Counsell sitting him, putting him on the 15-day IL, being safe, that just and to me it further highlights what the expectations are for the Cubs this year, not just as us as fans, but they clearly have those expectations of playoffs and possibly more
Yeah.
in their locker room, which is for me that's great to hear. I think we're going to see some starts from Colin Rea. I think we were going to anyways, given how
Right.
you know I like the guy, but Ben Brown, he's been looking
Yeah.
a
So
little
far,
rough.
it's
But his
rocky.
stuff is nasty. He's just
Yeah.
he's his command's not quite there. So
He's
I
kind
thought
of
we
like
were
the
going to
Nate.
see Colin Rea anyways.
He's kind of the Nate Pearson of the starting rotation.
Yeah,
I
talk
like
about
Pearson's
disappointing so
stuff,
far.
but I like Pearson's stuff. But yeah, the numbers don't lie. I mean, they are what they are. But you look at Steele. Obviously, that's a big loss kept running. But to your point, though, I think uh, so. A couple of things come into play. I think if it weren't so cold, I wonder if they would have just let him go. And also if it weren't like so early in the season, which obviously those two go hand in hand. But I do believe that like you said, we're not breaking new ground. It's precautionary. Justin Steele said so himself. But I just wonder if it were later in the season, if they were going to keep him in there to at least give him the quality starts that we're used to from him. I like the move though. I think it's prudent, and again, there's some people in Cubdom that just freak out over everything.
Yeah, well, most of them it seems like
Right,
do.
right,
But,
right,
they're just playing it safe, and honestly, like we do have depth,
hmm
um, and and it's just short sample sizes. Colin Rea has been fine. I just think when
Yeah.
he's one of those when he's consistently getting starts, he gets figured out a little bit more easier than other guys. But
Right, right.
I'm not as panic mode about this as I was when he got hurt against the Rangers last year. So
Right, and to be clear, I have a freak out point as well. I'm just not there yet. So,
I try to wait till the All-Star break, but
yeah,
play
I mean, at
safe,
least
make it come out sooner.
how about at least past April freaking 10th? Otherwise, a long season of hospital visits, of heart attacks, and all that kind of stuff. So, especially people of a certain age, you're okay because you're youngin.
Yeah, I'll get there soon enough.
But no, I mean, I like the look of the rotation so far, and I mean, you know, I mean, the other thing that we want to talk about here, because it's insanity. Miguel, could you have like can like Miguel Amaya and Carson Kelly just be considered one person and go to the All Star game together? Because I mean, those two guys, like the stats combined, are insane.
It's nuts. It's what we were praying for last year, and
Yeah,
we talked about on previous episodes. So I definitely, and you guys as well. There was no disagreement. I said Miguel Amaya is going to be a difference maker
yeah.
this year, and so far he has. And Carson Kelly in the 9-hole as a catcher,
That's
hitting for the
insane.
cycle.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
it I wasn't expecting this type of offensive production, and not just that, they've thrown out a couple runners already. So the
I
defense
want
is a
to.
lot
Yeah.
improved so
Yes.
far too.
Yeah, I want to look at the stats because they've gotten a couple guys who like had not been thrown out, not small sample size, of course, but there was a couple guys who like were like two or three or even 5 out of 5 and hadn't been thrown out. Again, it's very early in the season, but they're showing that they're showing other teams that they can throw out guys, so they better be careful on the bases. And for sure, and obviously you have Nico and Dansby really quick on the tag down there.
Yeah, well, that helps when you're throwing to Gold Glove shortstop or second base.
Exactly, exactly. It's an embarrassment of riches, Ethan, is what that is. I remember, what were you watching that Oakland game when Kelly hit that triple?
Yeah, I've never seen somebody of his build run like that, and there
Oh,
wasn't
I,
three or four cop cars behind him. That was crazy. He was
I,
chugging.
I was laughing at JD and Boog, man. I swear to God, like because Boog has one of his shticks is don't tell me when you have a single double and a home run because no one hits triples. And then when I hit that triple, Book was just all over it. Like it
He
was,
couldn't. It was like a
he
kid
couldn't
on
hold it.
Christmas.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And so was I. I was just sitting there laughing, and I'm like, I felt like a freak or a weirdo. I'm sitting in my living room just laughing my ass off by myself, no one around me. And look at this guy Boog and Carson and JD are just like making me laugh. And again, I know we all disagree. Not us necessarily, but like there's a big fandom that doesn't like our announcers. But I'm a fan of them. I like how they play off each other. I guess is the way I'll put it.
I really like JD.
Yeah,
Boog is an acquired taste.
I
I
agree.
uh,
I agree.
I play a lot of the show, so that's helped me get used to
Right,
him. Uh,
right.
I do agree. Sometimes he does go on just random rants and stories, and it's just like, all right, man, there's a baseball game going on. Like,
Well,
that's why
listen
I'm
here.
watching.
So my whole thing, like I'm okay with that, but like I feel bad for anyone who's not okay with that, especially when we blew the hell out of the A's because that was like 5 6 innings of just stories. Because what else are you gonna talk about but the game,
We're right, because it's an ass whooping. Nothing like
right?
you know what the game is going to end up being, and I do like Alex Cohen quite a bit. I thoroughly enjoy Alex Cohen. If I have to make a choice, I would definitely
Yeah.
choose Cohen over Boog. But
See,
JD's been here a while
yeah, he's kind of the stabilizing force over the past several teams.
because he was with was it Len Casper? That's now
Yeah, he was like
the WGN
Casper.
days.
Yeah, I want to say that's when he started, maybe. Um, but about Alex Cohen to me is like you with Boog. He's an acquired taste. So far, I have not had enough of a sampling to acquire it yet. But he's not terrible. He's fun. Again, I think JD is the guy who really kind of holds that boot together. I think. But anyway, we're
Yeah,
not here to talk about that too much.
no, we certainly could. We certainly could though.
But yeah, all in all, the Kelly game was like it'll be forever known as the Carson Kelly game. And then nine out of 10 people go, "Who the hell is Carson Kelly?" That's what's
Well,
gonna.
we had
That's
the
what's gonna
Christian
happen.
Beethencourt game last year, and now we have the Carson Kelly,
right,
not even a
right,
week into
right,
April. So
right. Um, you know, we've been on this since the beginning. Seiya Suzuki, man, um, he is just hitting that ball with authority. I mean, the other day he had 2 hits when the Cubs barely had anything, and then when the Cubs blow up, he gets three or four. Um, I think it's his level of maturity that we were talking about before to accept his role, kind of try to perfect it, and we're seeing that hard work right now. We always knew he had good exit velocity, but now it's a different guy, man.
he's still getting. I don't know what the umps have against Seiya Suzuki,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
my
yeah,
God, he doesn't get no leeway with the umps. It's the same shit as last year. It's watching some of his
yeah.
strike three calls. I'm like, bro, how do you not lose it? It helps not speaking much English, I'm sure, but.
Right, he's probably losing it, but in Japanese, so no one throws him out. So
What I like about Seiya is I actually said this a couple games before he really started to catch his groove. I said, "Man, it just
mm,
seems like Seiya, he gets his numbers, but he doesn't always hit in the clutch." And he
right,
could not have made me bite my words quicker than he did
right.
because he's gotten a lot of clutch 2 out hits, and
You
that's what you
gotta
need from your top of your lineup, right? So
you gotta keep saying shit like that, Ethan.
I know I'm going to keep talking shit like everybody because apparently you switch your playing style, and
Right.
you increase your batting average by 100 points, and then I'm not saying I'm the credit, but
Right.
I don't know.
I'll give it to you, man. I'll give it to you. I think the main thing about it is like the thing about having like 2 weeks between episodes is like you can really we had a little more time to see like who they are, who these guys are because they've some of them are struggling. We'll talk about that in a second, but like you see, say obviously Cal Tucker is Cal Tucker, um, but you're just looking up and down, and we've already had a point where like we're able to see them start slow. You look at the average, even though they're hitting the ball well. Dansby Swanson is the one I'm thinking about specifically. His stats weren't that great a couple, like if you look at it a few days ago, but he was still coming through, right? Now you're seeing the singles and hits actually coming together, so the numbers are getting better. But yeah, man, that's one guy, and again, we're looking at just runners in scoring position, just clutch hits that we did not get last year at all, ever, right? And now it seems like anyone that comes up we're getting a lot of 2 out runs.
Yeah, and well, you look at Dansby's numbers. He's on pace to hit close to 30 home runs if I did the math
Yeah.
right, which I would
Yeah.
not count on. If you're listening, go
Right.
ahead and verify. I took freshman geometry twice, so let's not count
Right.
on me. But
See, my math's at 74, so maybe I'm off a little bit. I don't know.
so yeah, so Dansby Swanson, he's batting like I think 230 right now. He's on pace to hit 30 home runs, which is the most he's done in a
Right.
season. But if you look at his stats with runners in scoring position, he's batting almost 300. Now I know batting average is kind of an outdated stat, but I think it tells us quite a bit when you're looking at runners in scoring position. And as a team,
Mm-hmm.
we're batting 279 last time I checked with runners in scoring position. So that's a huge improvement to last year when it seemed like
Yeah.
every other game we were going 1 for 16, 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
How many times last year did we get a leadoff double? I remember a couple of
Right.
games we got a
Yeah.
leadoff triple and we didn't score. And it's like, whew, man.
Well, like last year. Well, I mean, last year you were like, okay, who's not going to come through? This year it's like, who's going to come through? I mean, again, small sample size, but yeah, there seems to be up and down the lineup, just this different approach.
And they seem like a well-oiled machine this year. And now I know everybody was like, oh, well, we got off to a hot start last April. We were a little over 500 last April after playing, for the most part, pretty mid teams, besides I think we played the Dodgers and a couple other teams last April. But this year we're facing like good teams so far, besides the Athletics. But even they kind of looked good after the Mariners. So I just think we look a lot more into, like, we're better coached this year. Like you can notice that right away.
We just lost this game, and still we got 2 out of 3. Right after we took 2 out of 3 from San Diego as well. I mean, these are real teams. These are playoff either contenders or teams that were predicted to be in the race for a very long time.
And we should have swept the Padres.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, yesterday's loss against the Rangers, that's how, this is going to sound weird, but that's how I want to lose. If you're going to beat me, just beat me.
Beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Right.
From the get-go. Don't wait till the 8th or 9th inning to pull something out of your ass.
Right.
You know, that's, if you have to lose, right? You can't win every game. I didn't mind the Rangers loss because by the 5th inning, I kind of had an idea of what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was like you just kept adding on, and they just kept adding 1, 2, 3 runs an inning. It's like, okay, we're done. We can't hit for shit, and it's over. But hey, that's a 4-2 homestand. You got to win 2 out of 3 at home and go 50-50 at the road, and you'll be in the playoffs. Right? That's what they say.
And I like to, and I know you say this all the time in our Facebook, but if you would have, before we played the Padres and the Rangers, if you would have asked anybody if you would be happy with 4-2, everybody would have said yes.
Yeah.
It's just that Padres blown save does thing. I'm not disagreeing, but I'll take 4-2 against those two teams any day of the week.
Like I'm gonna go one further, man. If we end April 2 games over 500 or 1 game over 500, and we've lost a couple heartbreakers, I'm still okay with it because, again, these are good teams we're playing, and I think this month we have like the cumulative the best record in baseball we're playing against. And then in May, according to last year's obviously record, and then in May we have the lowest percentage of baseball. That's thanks to the White Sox coming in town, of course. But there is that we do have a little bit of a gauntlet, if you will, just to kind of, it's always like test your mettle here early on against these contenders and see if we can carry that forward.
Yeah, and I really hope that we can be at 500 or a game or two over, and I hope that's enough to still be first place in the NL Central, or at least really close, because, like you said, we have an easier schedule in May, and if we can, come out of April 500, the guys are going to be confident, and they're going to, hopefully, as we saw with the A's, demolish those lesser teams, as they should.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just got to make it through April, man.
But yeah, I mean, right now we're 9-6, right? We're in first place. We're still kind of, despite that last loss to the Rangers, we're still, head of the class by a game over the Brewers, of all teams. And I'm feeling really good about where we are right now. As we've said, 500 would have been great at the end of April, but to me, it's like 500 and maybe 3 or 4 games out, right? At the worst, but it looks like that's not going to happen. And we haven't even started to beat up on our own division yet.
No, we don't play in our division until April 29th against the Pirates. I'm glad you said that because I literally just Googled it. So you quit reading my mind. That's crazy.
Nah, you shouldn't have said that either. It would look like a perfect transition. Look at this. It's almost like we know what we're talking about.
damn, maybe I missed my opportunity. But no, we play the Pirates and then the Brewers, which, and then yeah, after that, the rest of May, not till late May, we play the Reds, which the Reds haven't looked very good so far.
Yeah, but they're all God. Every year they're sneaky, challenging, but every year they don't do shit. At the end of the day,
It's just
you know what I
against us
mean?
that they it's I feel like there's a handful of teams like that
Well,
they
it's
suck,
Ellie
but
it's Ellie De La Cruz, right? It just always kills us. Every team has a cup killer, right? And that's the whole. I saw Ellie the other day, just kind of man, that guy is he's so long. He is so long, and his arms are so big, and it's like I don't understand why he doesn't have like 80 home runs a year. But it's because he also has 200 strikeouts a year.
he's gotten the golden sombrero once or twice already. I think this year, and
Yeah,
he did
yeah.
plenty of times last year. The Pirates, again, I didn't think they'd be a threat, but I thought they'd be better than what they are. They lost 3 straight games to walk-offs against the Marlins, so they're
That that
clearly
that's oh man. I mean, there's only so much Skeens can do, right? Like he's a stud, but like yeah, there's I don't understand what it is because honestly, like every offseason, I'll see some of their signings. I'm like, wow, that's great. We're in trouble. And then every regular season, they don't do anything.
yeah, that's the Pirates, man. Imagine being one.
Right.
Imagine rooting for them. We bitch and we moan about being
Right.
Cubs fans. We could have it worse. We really could.
Yeah. I'm we could definitely have it worse. I mean they're no empathy. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that they are where they are, but still, I like some of their young players. I've loved McCutcheon for a very long time, just because I hate him so much. If I hate you and you end up Central, that really means I like you. Frankly.
How about the
um,
Marlins being 6-6? We face them in a couple weeks. That's got to end soon too. So hopefully the Marlins.
well, who's that? Alcantara, man. That guy just man. If he could pitch every day, they'd be 162 and 0. He throws like 102, 103. That's just. I think we might have beat him last year, but still, that's just get pure gas, and it's pretty fun. It's fun to watch him as long as he's not playing the Cubs. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
same for Paul
yeah,
Skeens. I love watching his
right,
games when he's not playing the Cubs.
right, yeah, right. The thing is like when we were at the end of the season, we're gonna be, I believe, and again, this is not a revelation, but like where Kyle Tucker takes us, right? Kyle Tucker right now he's off to the races already. He's over 300. He had that streak, out in the early season of like home run games. He is just, but every at bat you can kind of see where the power comes from. Even when he makes outs, they're either hit hard or at least they're elevated to where like a little bit more would have been gone. A lot of. I mean, I'd give him probably 2 more home runs if not for the wind in Wrigley the first couple games.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, but what do you think about the whole the obvious elephant in the room, right? The extension talk and just what can the Cubs do, or maybe a better question, can the Cubs do anything?
They certainly can,
Yeah,
and anybody that says otherwise, no disrespect, you're crazy.
yeah.
Ricketts is a
Well,
multi-billionaire. We have 30 million
yeah,
before we even hit the
yeah,
luxury tax. We've got the money to sign Tucker, especially if that report from the insider at XL Sports Management,
right,
which represents Tucker, said that they would do it for 475 million for 10 years.
yeah,
If I am Jed or Tom, I am making that phone call and getting that stuff out of the way
yeah.
now. You have the extra money. You don't need to pay him this year. Like I just think Kyle Tucker's somebody you build around. He's already on an MVP. I understand it's early, but he's on an MVP pace
Yeah.
already. He's a
He's also
phenomenal
relatively
player.
young.
Yeah, and honestly, now that the NL has the DH and has for a couple years,
Mhm.
he could definitely be. I know it's what's going to happen with Guerrero too, but
Right,
their
right,
last few
right,
years, maybe they're just a DH, and
right.
that's okay. That's how you extend the life of some of these guys that are good hitters. Make them a DH, take one of the
Well, I'll
outfield.
I'll, I'll throw something back at you though, because I do agree with you that if they can make it happen, they gotta make it happen. But at what point does Kyle just say, "I'm kicking ass. I want to see what the market gives me," and say, "Screw it"? Because that's another side of this whole thing. Where like, um, like even like Bellinger did that, right? He wanted to test the market didn't like him as much as he thought it did, and you know what? Let's go back to the Cubs. But like, does Tucker go after that 10-year deal on the market rather than just being limited to one team? That to me is gonna be the variable if he does continue what raking the key is.
Well, that's why again I stand by if I'm the Ricketts and I'm hearing that 475 million for 10
Yeah,
years, I
get
would be
that done.
making that phone call now before he
Yeah.
has time to change his mind. And you're going to get that money in ticket sales, jersey sales. You're going to make that money
Mm-hmm.
back before his contract's up.
When the Cubs are right, they're making a shit ton of money, man.
I mean, 47 million AAV roughly, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And for 30 million until we hit the luxury tax, we could definitely afford to go a little over. And we have a
yeah.
lot of people coming off the books next year, anyways. So,
And that's the other thing, like, and we have young guys coming up as well. We still have, our minor league, even though we dealt a couple, we're still doing well down there. We don't. I shouldn't say we don't have any. There are a couple. There are a few guys on our team that are older that are like, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted in the statement, so I want to make sure I say it right because on the one hand, we have good young players who right now don't demand a lot of money, right? Don't command a lot of money. On the other hand, who are we going to let off the books? We have a couple of guys that are just, journeyman veterans, and then we'll have to fill in those roster spots with maybe young kids. So it's hard because the numbers are so ridiculous in the majors and pro sports in general that it's hard to make that really one-to-one equation of like, oh, well, we'll save 15 million over here. Oh, 15 million is John Birdie. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, obviously that's not right, but like I'm saying, like the level of the number versus the quality of player, it's hard to like kind of balance unless I'm looking right at their sheet, right?
right. And I think Happ and Horner would be definitely people we can count on to take a team friendly deal. I mean, Happ's already
Yeah,
done that a
that's
couple times.
yeah,
So I have no reason to think Happ wants to stay in Chicago. Him and his family are well established here.
right,
Horner
right,
loves Chicago. And again, if you go over the luxury tax, they went over the luxury tax last year, and they
right,
had a shitty roster, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So it's
right.
like you can't go 17 million over for Tucker and pay that penalty. I think you can, or you can just move some stuff around. And some of that Kyle Tucker deal could be deferred even. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, that's a new tool they're using, and it's been pretty effective for teams like LA. So you
I'm
definitely want
just
to do that.
saying you've got that
Yeah,
opportunity, and why
hundred
not?
percent.
Because me and my dad were actually talking about this. I said, do you
Yeah,
think that in 15 years from now, when the Dodgers are still paying Shohei's salary, that they're going to be that fans are going to be upset? Absolutely not. They've already
right,
gotten the World Series.
right.
15 years from now, when we're still paying Kyle Tucker, we make it happen, and it's because of deferred payments. None of us are going to be sitting there going, man, if only we had that extra whatever million
Well,
for
we
Kyle
better
Tucker.
get at least two World Series victories in there or something, right?
At least
I mean that.
one, but I'm just saying, if we got one championship
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
the optimistic Tucker era that doesn't really exist yet, but
Right,
we're all
right,
dreaming
right,
about.
right.
It kind of reminds me of like when we the Cubs let us believe that we were going after Harper in 2018, even though we weren't. But now
Yeah,
he's here, and it's
right.
like,
How do we
okay, we
keep
have our
them?
superstar, and it's like one of those things. It's hard to describe. It's like when you
No,
didn't have it, you didn't realize how awesome it was until you did.
right.
It's like
You
when you
you
you know
just
you you go on vacation and you rent a Ferrari, and then you go home to your Toyota, and you're just like, dang.
but I mean, you just said something. I think that is proving true, and it's important. Is we have a superstar. We don't have a star like Bellinger. He's really good. Bellinger's really good. There's not a shade on him, but we now have a legitimate superstar who anyone around the league would say top five or at the worst top 10 player in all of baseball, and he's in Wrigley Field every day in right field. And so like while I'm not sure the mathematics and blah 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 all the excuses I gave, I still want him. Like I absolutely think we need to lock him up somehow, and I don't think, but it's a matter of like, does Jed want to do that knowing that this is last put up or shut up year, right?
To
Um,
me, that means you have to sign him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
as a fan, I agree 100%.
I just, he's literally. You can really tell the Kyle Tucker effect because we had a lot of the same guys in our lineup as we did last year, and his protection in a lineup, especially at the top of the
Yeah,
order. God, Seiya has been and Ian Happ's again. Ian Happ's batting average isn't quite there yet, but
sure.
he's had some big hits, and he walks.
Yeah,
Ian Happ's always good for 350 plus on base,
right,
So
right.
I just think he protects the lineup, makes it that much better. And when you have guys that your 7, 8, 9 hole can get on, uh,
I want to
that's
go back.
just
I want to go back and watch some games and see how often. Or I want to. I wonder what Seiya's either batting average or on base percentage or whatever statistic you want to talk about is after Tucker gets intentionally walked. I know the other day he came up with a bases loaded single after that, and I think it's happened. I think he's been walked like 2 or 3 times this year or so. So maybe it's too early to tell. But it is nice to have that. And then on the flip side, you have guys who are seeing pitches because Tucker's next. If there's a guy on base and Seiya's up and Tucker's next, Seiya's going to see a pitch. They don't want to bring Tucker up with two or three guys on. So I love, yeah, I like that. That's a big part. It should be a big part of like the thought process when it comes to do we pay him 40 some odd $1 million a year?
right. In other words, we're talking about the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah,
Everybody's been talking about PCA's, slow start. He's been walking
yeah,
the past couple of days. If PCA
yeah,
gets on base, it's almost as good as a triple.
yeah. Usually like with the fast guys, you're like, oh, it's a double. No, PCA speed, it's a freaking triple.
Yeah,
If you're
he'll
scuffling,
steal second,
yeah.
and third, and it's just like, oh, okay.
But yeah, PCA. I mean, PCA is interesting because like he's not hitting the ball just yet. He's got a couple hits or a couple outs that were kind of hit hard, but he's not really hitting the ball on barrel right now too much. But
He's got 0% barrel rate. If I'm being honest.
he's still contributing, right? He's still like his defense will always be there. His defense doesn't slump, right? You got the like you said on base percentage, or when he walks, it's a double, at least maybe a triple. They stopping him from a triple sometimes because there's a guy on base in front of him. But there is that element of like I want someone like PCA in the lineup every day. You can't take him out. He just got to get right. What do you think about just that concept of PCA, what he brings to the table on defense? I think it kind of offsets any offense left he can be in, unless like 0 for 70 with 40 strikeouts. What are your thoughts on just his ability to change the game on defense and how valuable it is?
Well, I just don't think his defense. I mean, obviously, his defense is game changing, like you said. That's the one
Yeah,
thing we can count on. But now we can say the same thing about his base running. He gets on
yeah,
base, he's guaranteed to steal second 99%
hmm
of the time, and a lot as we've seen already. People throw into second to get him out. They have to hustle to throw because he's so fast, and that leads to
right,
errors. Then now he's at third, or he was able to make it home, right?
right,
And that's why I said in some of our preseason shows that if he can just bat 250 or 240, he'll
yeah,
be a even bigger difference maker than he is already. Because
yeah, yeah.
he's guaranteed for extra bases no matter how he gets on. And how many times does he his speed turned this a normal single into a double, or
Right.
how
Well,
many infield hits has he gotten already?
well, the funny thing is, like, I think he's tied with Carson Kelly in triples. So,
Like
so,
we all
but
predicted.
yeah, of course. Hopefully that'll change. But the rest of the month, we do have some tough competition coming. I don't know, man. The more I see this team, though, the more it's like bring it on type stuff. You know what I mean? Um, you know, yeah, good.
I was just gonna say the Dodgers almost lost a series to the Nationals. They're still the
Yeah,
Dodgers. They're still 10 and
yeah,
4. Not taken from that. I
right.
just think the Dodgers are obviously beatable. We beat them last year.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Well,
To
we're gonna
me,
see we're gonna see the top of the rotation too.
so that's what scares me. Again,
Yeah.
if we leave the Dodgers series, the first one with just one, and we split the other two game set, I'd be happy with that. I
hmm
definitely want to take 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks. I think that's possible. A lot of their
Yeah.
guys are slumping now. Of course, for whatever reason, the Diamondbacks use the Cubs to
They
catapult
beat they
themselves back
beat the
into.
hell out of the Cubbies. Yeah.
The past couple of years, it's been ugh. Anyways, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm in a good mood right now.
Oh,
But the
2023,
Phillies,
2023. I'll go there. 2023,
uh,
end of the season. They messed everything up. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, they did. I'm still haven't forgiven them for it.
Yeah,
But no, I think the Phillies are the one team that I'm just like, please just win one. The
you're
Dodgers, I
right.
think we can legitimately possibly beat 2 out of 3.
Hmm.
Um, but the Phillies, dude, they're off to a hot start. The Phillies are a good team, but they're streaky, and
Yeah.
when they're hot, man, it's tough to beat them. It
I mean,
really
not,
is.
not that I'm following them, but I just see like Schwarber had another home run today. So, and he's obviously a former Cub, so I'm always like following, seeing what he does. And he's just been on a tear since he left. He's just a great player, but like yeah. So I am that's another kind of series or pair of series that's gonna be interesting to see how we fare. But I think yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got a 1 through 9 lineup now, right? For the most part, there's one or two guys slumping at the same time, type of thing every now and then. But I think the we saw this coming. We knew this was going to be not a rough patch necessarily, but it was going to be something we had to kind of pull through. So, um, any final words on that?
No, just that guys are stepping up, but we haven't really seen step up in a while. I love seeing Dansby be clutch.
Yeah.
Seiya's been clutch. PCA and Shaw are slumping on off, but at least they're getting walks now.
Well, Dansby is
And
interesting because I think like when I see him have for power, I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? Because I mean, like, I don't know. Not that I don't want to make it seem like he was like a flare hitter or anything like that, but he's hitting that ball real hard right now.
I'd trade the power he's had right now. Like if you look at his statistics with his home runs already and
Yeah,
his lower batting average, I will take that lower batting average for the increased amount of home runs. And again,
yeah,
he's healthy. And I mean,
right,
he was good in 23.
right, right.
A lot of us forgot about his offense last year, but he was hurt.
Yeah,
He's
his
healthy this year. He's making a case for.
still playing Stellar D as always as well. So, but that's the thing that is it's helping kind of propel this energy, right? Which by the way, to me, like not necessarily from the fans, but from the team, from the players, that positive energy is more important than I think sometimes people will give it credit for.
Oh, 100%. I think he's on pace to be our solid five hole guy this year. I think he's kind of worked his way up to that part of the lineup, and I think
Yeah.
he's a great clubhouse guy, and all the teammates like him. And like you said, that's a huge thing. And not to
Mm.
go into it because I know everybody has an opinion. That's why Trevor Bauer still hasn't been allowed back in the MLB. Nobody wants to be his teammate. And there's a
Right,
documentary on YouTube that highlights just how bizarre of a fella he really is. But
right.
it's huge. You wanted, and everybody seems to like PCA and Justin Turner's friendship. All of a sudden, like everybody seems to get along
Right.
really well. I think the clubhouse culture this year is different than it was last year, and I'm with you right there. That's
Yeah.
something big. That's important that people just don't think of. But
I
they're
would bet
people at the end of the day.
I would bet a cajillion dollars that like Pete Crow-Armstrong hair with the stars in it. Probably Russell was like, or Turner was like, yeah, that's my guy right there. Turner seemed like that kind of like quirky kind of guy who doesn't like clean his undershirt for like 3 months or because of luck or something like that. But I do think he's like one of those guys. But you know, one thing that's kind of helping us right now is Steele. I think is kind of like I don't want to say he had a rough outing initially. It looked like he kind of picked it back up, but you look at Boyd, and he's been a pleasant surprise to those pleasant surprise, but like almost like not. If you look at his numbers, like you might have expected this, but not necessarily as well as he's done. And then we got Shota, who has been Shota up until the other day, right? And then, but again, that comes that's a tough team with big bats. Talk about the pitching a little bit, the starting pitching, the rotation. We're looking okay. I do like what I've seen out of them overall. Tyon had a phenomenal bounce back the other day. Just because I mean I mean like bounce back within the game, right? He came out early and was
Yeah,
a
he
little
ended up
roughed
having a
up.
quality start.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so to me, it's like when you start off strong. Again, I'm not inventing this for baseball, but you have a nice first 6 innings. You're going to be much better than you would be. Talk about a rotation a little bit, just how it's steady.
Well, I'll start off by saying Shota's fine, and if he's going to have
Yeah,
an off game like that, when we've already won a series against a team that just won the World Series Cup, I'm okay with that. That's
Right.
If you're gonna have a bad start, that's the time to do it. Not when the game truly is an important must-win game. Tyon, he just the thing is with him is his fastball doesn't have as much movement as, for example, Shota's does. So if he misses
Yeah.
his zone, that ball's gone. It's going yard.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
93 miles an hour across the plate, that's bye-bye,
Right.
every single
Right.
time. But I'm not worried about him. I think he's still going to be on pace for his career numbers. Matthew Boyd was another thing that the three of us got right, our preseason predictions.
No.
That was a phenomenal signing. He did great in the postseason last year. He just had some injury problems, but when he pitches, he's a good pitcher. So I think, especially with Steele being on the 15-day IL now and the gauntlet we have the next couple of weeks, Matthew Boyd is even more important of a signing.
Yeah.
Now.
And so far, I think whether it's pitch count or something else, Counsell's been kind of with kid gloves on him, right? Kind of being quick, almost semi-quick hook, but nonetheless letting him get out there, let him have some success building up his arm a little bit.
No, I'm not worried about our starting rotation because I think, our five guy, it'll either be Ben Brown, maybe Ray or Assad when he's healthy. The fact that we have a really good solid four.
Yeah.
That fifth guy, I think Ben Brown's stuff is too good to just give up on him right now.
I agree, and I don't say give up right away, but I mean, I'll go back to I'm still a Javier Assad guy. But
I love Javier Assad.
If he's on the IL, he's on the IL. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, Brown shows signs of life, right? I mean, there was that one early on. I think he gave him a couple runs, but he also 3K. I mean, the numbers are all jumbled in my head, but I know that he has that strikeout stuff. If he's not walking the whole ballpark, right?
Yeah, and I also feel like once he starts giving up walks, that's when he's giving up the good strikes to hit. So
yeah. But all in all, man, listen, I think it's been a good 2 weeks since the last time we were on here. I think, looking at the standings, man, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing the Cubs at the top of the Central. Let's see if we can make it like almost wire to wire once we get a hold of it. Let's not give it up. So, we're just moving forward, Ethan. I mean, we got the Dodgers this weekend. It's gonna be a tough one. Just kind of we already talked a little bit about it, but like you said, you're hoping it's 1 out of 3 from them, right? I mean, or 2 out of 3. I mean, what's your take on it?
I'd love to get 2 out of 3, but realistically, as long as we don't get swept, I think as we've shown before, the Diamondbacks are beatable.
Yeah.
Split the 2 games set with the Dodgers and find a way to do something against the Phillies.
I'm gonna say something that may or may not be agreeable to some people. I don't mind getting swept as long as we're in 3 fucking good games. Yes, I would not want this. I'm not gonna cheer if we get swept. But the Dodgers,
the Dodgers fan all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, but the Dodgers at their core are the top 2 in the majors, right? They have that ridiculous payroll. They have all-stars up and down the lineup. They are the 2016 Cubs, right? We had all-stars everywhere. But early in the season, you can recover from a 3-game sweep. I don't want to get swept. I think we're going to give them good games. I haven't seen the pitching matchups, but it doesn't matter to me. I think, again, 1 through 5, we're good. They have their 2 aces coming at us, game 1 and game 2. So it's going to be a tough trudge. But, I'll put it this way. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon if we get swept. Because I think that's the main thing for me. It's long season. I think you're gonna have, and you know what? I'm rambling here, but the truth is, I could be completely wrong, and we might win 2 out of 3 next week. I'll be happy as hell. So, but with that, Ethan, man, I appreciate it. Obviously, we are in the week 8, man. Or episode 8. We're almost in the double digits, so that's good.
We're getting there.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought, right? This is Marco Santana once again for the Ivy League of Chicago Cubs podcast. Ethan Davis, say good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, we'll see you all next week.